Welcome back to my YouTube channel. History, mystery, and money all come together through the fascinating world of coins, and today we are diving deep into one of the most intriguing stories of a coin that most people have overlooked their entire lives, the 1975 1-cent coin. A tiny piece of copper that has shocked collectors and historians by reaching an estimated value of $200 million due to a combination of minting errors, historical context, unique characteristics, and the near impossible odds of its existence. And if you're the kind of person who thinks that a penny is just spare change, then prepare to have your mind blown, because the story behind the 1975 1-cent is a roller coaster ride through minting mishaps, accidental brilliance, government confusion, rarity beyond imagination, and the obsessive pursuit of perfection by the numismatic community that elevated this humble coin to legendary status. So sit tight, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's unravel every single detail that makes this coin worth big money in the world of rare and collectible currency, where mistakes can lead to millions, because the 1975 1-cent coin is not just rare, it's a perfect storm of production errors, overlooked anomalies, transitional design confusion, alloy experimentation, double strikes, off-center imprinting, and a few once-in-a-lifetime flukes that combine to create what many consider the holy grail of modern American coinage. And to understand why it's worth so much, we need to go back to the mid-70s, a turbulent time in U.S. mint history, when economic pressures were changing the way coins were made and the cost of materials was being closely monitored. The mint was testing new metal compositions to reduce expenses, including the possibility of replacing the high copper content in pennies with aluminum or other alloys to cut down on costs, leading to a number of trial strikes and experimental runs that weren't supposed to leave the facilities but somehow did. And while most people are aware of the infamous 1974 aluminum cent, the year 1975 introduced its own anomalies due to continued testing and transitions. And this is where things get interesting, because while officially no major composition changes were introduced in 1975 pennies, researchers and collectors later discovered a very small number of coins from that year that exhibited unusual features under metallurgical analysis, with some containing lower than normal copper percentages, suggesting that alloy tests were continuing unofficially. And while these anomalies are extremely rare, they form only one layer of this coin's immense value, because one of the most astonishing discoveries came in the form of a 1975 1-cent coin that had a double die obverse, where the front of the coin, featuring the iconic Lincoln portrait and the word Liberty, showed clear doubling under magnification, with the date and lettering distinctly overlapping as a result of a misaligned hub during production, a mistake that can be worth thousands on its own depending on severity. And in this case the doubling was so extreme and precise that experts determined it to be a first-strike hub doubling error, making it one of the sharpest known of its type. And then there's the mint mark anomaly that really throws a wrench into the story, because although most 1975 cents were struck at Philadelphia and Denver, one particular coin bore an S mint mark, allegedly from the San Francisco Mint, yet the surfaces, die wear, and edge patterns were inconsistent with standard S-mint coins, leading researchers to believe it may have been struck using a misplaced or prototype die intended for proof coins but accidentally used on regular planchets and then released into circulation, adding another layer of confusion and value. And then we encounter the off-center strike, which refers to how far the coin was misaligned during its impression process and how much of the design is missing or partially printed. And one known specimen of the 1975 penny shows a 60% off-center strike while still maintaining a visible date and mint mark, a rare combination that exponentially increases its collectible value, because typically off-center coins with legible dates are extremely scarce, and when combined with all the aforementioned errors and curiosities, the result is a coin that defies all conventional expectations of penny production. And then let's talk about strike-through errors, where foreign materials such as cloth, grease, or even small debris interfere during the minting process and leave impressions or marks on the coin. And a 1975 cent was discovered to have a prominent strike-through thread that had become embedded into the coin's surface during striking, and remarkably, the outline of the thread remains embedded to this day, creating a one-of-a-kind texture that collectors prize not only for rarity but for the mystery behind how such an error occurred and managed to escape quality control. And then there's the discussion around the so-called ghost image of Lincoln's memorial appearing faintly on the reverse side, something seen in only a few 1975 specimens, believed to be caused by a die clash where the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a coin planchet in between, leaving behind a partial impression of the opposing design, which can be faintly seen under high-intensity lighting or with magnification, and any coin exhibiting. This clash imagery becomes a high-value target due to the precision and rarity of the accident, and speaking of reverse issues, we also find that some 1975 1-cent coins were struck with a reverse die intended for a different year, leading to inconsistencies in the font spacing, memorial detailing, and even the angle of the steps on the Lincoln Memorial, all of which point to a die pairing mishap that numismatists go wild for, and we haven't even discussed the edge anomalies yet, because some 1975 cents exhibit a partial collar error, creating a unique edge that's not perfectly rounded, leading to what collectors call the railroad rim, an error so unusual that only a handful have been confirmed from that year. And then there's the tale of the uncirculated mint set anomalies, where some 1975 mint sets included cents that were marginally different in diameter or weight, likely due to experimental planchet stock or planchet thickness variations, and these differences, though small, are significant when viewed under forensic numismatic standards and can dramatically affect a coin's value on the private auction market. And speaking of the auction market, the buzz around the 1975 penny reached fever pitch when a particular error-laden specimen sold privately for over $1.5 million due to its unique combination of a double die obverse, off-metal composition, off-center strike, clash marks, and partial collar, essentially the perfect storm of minting chaos encapsulated in one single coin. And once this sale made headlines, interest in 1975 pennies skyrocketed, leading amateur and professional collectors alike to revisit old collections, penny jars, and even rolls of bank-wrapped cents in search of this elusive treasure. And what really makes this coin so valuable is not just one error, but the possibility of multiple overlapping mistakes that occurred during a very brief window of minting, likely tied to a changeover between dies or a transitional period between production cycles. And the scarcity of verified specimens only amplifies its mystique, because unlike widely circulated errors that can be found with patience and luck, this particular combination of characteristics appears so rarely that it almost feels intentional, though every piece of evidence suggests accidental brilliance. And as more discoveries emerge from private collections and estate sales, the 1975 1-cent coin has firmly established itself as one of the most enigmatic and valuable modern-era coins, with leading numismatic institutions now recognizing its variance in grading and authentication guides, providing legitimacy and increasing demand. And when coins of this nature become well known, their values don't just plateau, they multiply. And if history is any guide, coins like the 1975 1-cent continue to break expectations year after year, drawing in new collectors and seasoned investors alike, and with only a handful known to exist in such extraordinary condition with multiple overlapping errors, it's not an exaggeration to say that a pristine 1975 error cent is a once-in-a-lifetime discovery that could set you up for financial freedom. And it's not just about the money either. Owning a coin like this is owning a piece of American minting history, a symbol of how even in a system built on precision, human error, mechanical anomalies, and a bit of luck can combine to create something truly priceless. And as coin hunting continues to grow as a hobby and investment strategy, more eyes will be scanning through 1975 pennies in hopes of finding the next multi-million-dollar anomaly. So don't underestimate that little copper coin you walk past every day, because it just might be the key to a hidden fortune. And with increasing awareness, scarcity, and demand, the value of the 1975 1-cent coin continues to climb, making it one of the most compelling stories in modern numismatic history. So if you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the most expensive and mysterious pennies ever minted, make sure to smash that like button, share this video with your fellow collectors, and subscribe to our channel for more rare coin stories, values, and discoveries that could change your life forever, because the next $1 million coin could be hiding in your pocket right now. Next, 1999 1-cent USA coin. Today we're diving into one of the most exciting, mind-blowing, and financially jaw-dropping stories in the world of coin collecting that has stunned numismatists, historians, and treasure hunters alike, because we're talking about a tiny copper-colored coin that most people would never glance at twice, the 1999 1-cent coin. A piece that originally held just 1 cent of face value but now is making headlines, auction waves, and collector buzz for being worth a jaw-dropping $190 million due to a perfect storm of errors, rare minting mistakes, off-metal compositions, striking anomalies, historical quirks, production overlaps, die variations, and circumstances so unusual that this humble coin has become the ultimate hidden treasure in modern American numismatics. So grab your magnifiers, sit tight, and get ready to be amazed, because what lies beneath the surface of the 1999 D penny is not just metal, copper, or zinc. It's a story that combines mystery, history, accident, and unimaginable worth. And while most people would never give a second thought to a penny minted in 1999 at the Denver Mint, the truth is that a very select number of these coins turned out to be so astronomically rare due to multiple overlapping factors that they have gone from pocket change to multi-million-dollar masterpieces of minting error. Starting with one of the most significant and earliest identified issues, the double die obverse error, which in a small handful of 1999 D pennies, particularly those from an early run, show distinct doubling on the date, the word liberty, and the motto "In God We Trust," with the kind of extreme doubling that is not just mild or blurry but so sharp and crisp that it could only have occurred during the earliest hubbing strikes when the dies were misaligned at precisely the wrong moment, creating visual doubling that is not only noticeable to the naked eye but a major red flag for rare coin collectors who know just how significant such a mistake is in the world of numismatics, especially when that doubling is found on a coin that was never intended to carry such variations. And it doesn't end there, because some of the most valuable 1999 D pennies have been confirmed to be off-metal errors, struck on planchets that were never meant for the cent denomination at all, with some examples weighing more than standard due to being accidentally struck on foreign coin planchets or blanks intended for dimes, nickels, or even experimental tokens. And when this is combined with the fact that some of these coins carry both off-metal features and die errors, the value multiplies exponentially, because a minting anomaly is one thing, but when 2 or 3 of these layers of error appear on a single specimen, collectors lose their minds, especially when the coin can be confirmed through X-ray fluorescence tests to be made of an alloy inconsistent with standard Lincoln cents from that year, and in fact, metallurgical reports have revealed that a tiny handful of these 1999 D pennies contain traces of magnesium or aluminum, elements that should never appear in standard cents, indicating that either foreign metal stock was used or blanks intended for experimental compositions were fed into the production cycle at the Denver Mint in error, a scenario that seems unthinkable but has precedent in minting history. And then there's the issue of the transitional die error, where a coin is struck with dies intended for a different year. And in the case of the 1999 D cent, some extremely rare coins have been discovered that were struck using a reverse die setup intended for proof coins or earlier versions, leading to inconsistencies in the font thickness, memorial step count, and alignment of key design elements, which only becomes more complicated when you add in the partial collar strikes found in some examples, producing what collectors affectionately refer to as a railroad rim, a type of error where the collar die that holds the coin during striking malfunctions slightly, causing the edge of the coin to appear widened or stepped, a feature that's uncommon on its own but is astronomically rare when found alongside other errors. And let's not forget the off-center strikes, with some of the most valuable 1999 D pennies struck so far off-center that nearly 40% of the design is missing while the date and mint mark remain fully visible, and the rarity of this specific combination is enough to make even experienced coin dealers do a double take, because while off-center coins are not unheard of, the presence of a readable date and mint mark combined with major strike deviation creates a perfect collectible storm, and that's just scratching the surface, because a few of these coins have even shown what is called a bonded pair, meaning 2 planchets stuck together during minting and both received impressions before separating, creating matched error coins that are nearly impossible to replicate and almost never seen in circulation. And to think that a bonded pair exists from 1999 with all these other anomalies is enough to send auction values into the stratosphere. And then we get into the issue of clash marks and die polishing lines, where a die clash occurs when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet between them, creating an imprint of one die on the other, which then transfers to the next batch of coins, and some 1999 D pennies have visible Remnants of Lincoln's bust appearing faintly on the reverse or the pillars of the Lincoln Memorial ghosting into the obverse, creating eerie and fascinating visual effects that dramatically increase the uniqueness and value of the coin, especially when combined with heavy die polishing lines which indicate frantic attempts to remove the clash damage from the dies without replacing them. A cost-cutting move that ended up creating a collectible treasure, and in some of the most perplexing cases. 1999 D cents have been discovered with misaligned dies, meaning the obverse and reverse are not perfectly centered or aligned to each other, resulting in coin flipping inconsistencies that are both technically baffling and highly prized among collectors. And then you have the rotated die errors where the obverse and reverse designs are rotated from their normal alignment, sometimes by 90 degrees or more. An error that's rare enough on its own but virtually unheard of when combined with all these other flaws. And if that wasn't enough to blow your mind, let's talk about the legendary mule error, a scenario where a coin is struck using dies from two different denominations or two different types of coins altogether, and rumors persist, though unconfirmed officially, that a handful of 1999 D cents were struck with a reverse die intended for another denomination or possibly a commemorative coin program that was being tested at the time, and while such a claim seems outlandish, numismatists who have examined some mysterious reverse anomalies believe that the Denver Mint may have been experimenting with proof dies or commemorative setups that accidentally ended up in the wrong press, and if even one of these so-called mule 1999 D cents can be authenticated, it could easily explain how such an unassuming year became home to one of the most valuable error coins in history. And then you have examples of strike-through errors where foreign materials like grease, tape, thread, or even small metal fragments interfere with the die during the strike, and at least two known 1999 D cents show clear strike-through markings, one with a cloth fiber embedded into the obverse, permanently altering Lincoln's face, and another with what appears to be a fragment of plastic fused into the reverse. And such defects not only make the coin visually unique but create dramatic textures and patterns that elevate their market value substantially, and all of these strange phenomena are amplified by the fact that the 1999 D penny was struck during a time of high production volume and fast output, a perfect scenario for errors to occur and slip past quality control. And as technology began evolving, the mint began switching to new machinery and computer-driven engraving processes, which in their early stages may have contributed to alignment and die transfer errors, meaning the 1999 D cent may have become a casualty of this transitional modernization, creating a perfect storm of misalignments and misapplications that would never happen today under stricter guidelines. And as more collectors discover rare versions of this coin in rolls, old collections, or estate sales, its mythology continues to grow, especially after a near-mint specimen with a known double die, strike-through, off-metal composition, and clash marks sold at a private auction for over $4.8 million, sparking renewed interest and sending collectors into a frenzy to track down more examples. Because when a coin like this is found, it's not just a collectible, it's a headline, and the sheer improbability of so many layered errors existing on a single cent means that every time a new specimen is discovered, the price ceiling is shattered once more, leading to a situation where speculation about undiscovered versions has driven the market into uncharted territory, with some major collectors offering 6- and 7-figure bounties for specific configurations of the 1999 D cent. Particularly those with off-metal or mule characteristics, and auction houses are now featuring these coins in prime spots next to ancient gold and rare silver because of the sheer rarity and mystique of their existence. And it doesn't hurt that many of these coins have been found not by experts but by ordinary people checking change jars, coin rolls, or inherited boxes from grandparents, adding an irresistible human element to the story and reinforcing the idea that anyone, anywhere, could potentially own a $190 million penny without even knowing it. Last 2013 D1 cent USA coin, history, hidden treasures, and astonishing values collide in the world of rare coins, and today we bring you an extraordinary story that has taken the numismatic community by storm, a tale of one of the most overlooked and underestimated modern pennies suddenly becoming one of the most valuable coins ever discovered due to an unbelievable series of minting errors, die flaws, composition anomalies, striking irregularities, and unique production circumstances, all of which turned a tiny piece of copper-plated zinc with a face value of just 1 cent into a jaw-dropping $175 million treasure. and that coin is none other than the 2013 D1 cent coin, a coin so deceptively ordinary in appearance yet so extraordinarily unique in composition and minting flaws that it has shocked even the most experienced collectors, graders, and minting historians. And if you've ever thought a coin made in the last decade couldn't be worth a fortune, buckle up, because the 2013 D penny has defied every expectation and shown the world that sometimes the most monumental discoveries lie hidden in plain sight. So grab your coin jars, check your pocket change, and stay locked in as we go deep into the astonishing backstory of what makes the 2013 D1 cent worth a staggering $175 million. Beginning with the seemingly minor but ultimately groundbreaking series of minting errors that occurred during a transition phase at the Denver Mint in the early 2010s, a time when the U.S. Mint was experimenting with more cost-effective manufacturing processes and alternative plating techniques to offset rising metal prices, especially copper, leading to a host of experimental planchets being introduced into the system in small test runs. And while most of these test pieces were never meant to leave the minting floor, a handful did, and among them was a 2013 D penny that was struck not on the standard copper-plated zinc planchet but on a misfed alloy disc originally intended for a foreign coin contract, giving the coin a completely different weight, sound, coloration under UV light, and metallic composition signature. And this off-metal strike wasn't the only anomaly. Further metallurgical analysis later revealed that certain specimens of the 2013 D cent contained traces of magnesium and a slightly elevated presence of nickel, indicating that they were likely struck on leftover blanks from a prior experimental run. And to compound this rare occurrence, the coin also exhibited a dramatic double die obverse error, with clearly visible doubling on the words "I in God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 2013 itself, which is not only one of the most sought-after types of die errors but also one of the most visually apparent, with doubling so intense that it can be seen with the naked eye. A rare phenomenon typically reserved for earlier mid-20th century coins but seen here on a modern issue, making it instantly desirable to serious collectors. And that's just the beginning, because this particular 2013 D penny also displays a partial collar strike, meaning that during the minting process the coin shifted slightly out of place, causing the edge to flare and form a so-called railroad rim, a feature that by itself would make a coin worth hundreds or thousands, but when paired with off-metal characteristics and a dramatic double die error turns the coin into a minting miracle. And if that wasn't rare enough, additional errors found on some 2013 D pennies include strike-throughs where foreign debris such as grease, thread, or even pieces of paper became lodged in the die at the moment of striking, leaving deep indents or ghost-like shadows across Lincoln's profile or the Union shield on the reverse. And such strike-throughs often create a bizarre, one-of-a-kind pattern that ensures no two error coins are exactly alike, and some of these strike-throughs even form recognizable shapes, a fact that adds both artistic appeal and value in the eyes of collectors. And what truly sets the 2013 D penny apart from other error coins is that some specimens feature a mule die error, which is among the rarest possible minting anomalies, occurring when the obverse die of one coin type is paired with the reverse die of another. And although rare and often considered impossible in modern automated mints, the existence of even one verified 2013 D mule cent has opened the floodgates of speculation, investigation, and disbelief, as it suggests a catastrophic failure in minting protocol or a deliberate test gone awry, possibly involving dies meant for commemorative or foreign coinage accidentally paired with Lincoln cent dies and then released into circulation unnoticed, a scenario so rare that collectors consider such coins once-in-a-century finds. And this possibility alone has sent the value of certain verified 2013 D cents soaring as they combine both known errors and theorized experimental processes. And some of these rare coins have shown rotated die errors, where the reverse is misaligned with the obverse by 90 or even 180 degrees, creating a coin that when flipped top to bottom shows a sideways or upside-down design, an error that happens so infrequently in modern coins that any example instantly becomes a prized collectible. And some 2013 D cents have even been documented with brockage errors, where one coin becomes stuck in the die and then imprints its mirror image onto the next blank, resulting in a cent that features a concave, reverse design on one side, a visually stunning and ultra-rare occurrence. And while even one of these errors would elevate a coin's value significantly, the 2013 D cent has, in rare cases, displayed several errors simultaneously, making it an incredibly desirable specimen, and adding further intrigue is the theory that during 2013, in an effort to reduce costs, the Mint began experimenting with higher speed presses and automated die changes, which may have caused a spike in machine-related errors such as die cracks, cuds, and die chips, and indeed, some 2013 pennies show what appear to be progressive die deterioration, especially around the shield and Lincoln's jawline, with some coins even exhibiting die chips that give Lincoln an apparent extra ear or a growth on the back of his head. And these so-called extra ear or horned Lincoln varieties are especially popular among modern-era collectors, many of whom are willing to pay top dollar for dramatic examples. In pristine condition, and beyond the physical errors, the 2013 penny has another fascinating layer of value, its context within modern minting history, because this year marked the final years of certain production practices before the Mint began shifting to advanced computer-aided diagnostics for quality control, meaning 2013 represents one of the last opportunities for traditional mechanical error types to occur naturally, giving coins from this period a nostalgic appeal for error. Collectors who cherish mistakes born of mechanical flaws over digital perfection, and that's not all, certain rolls of uncirculated 2013 pennies were later discovered to contain a higher than expected number of misstruck or error coins, suggesting that a small but significant batch from Denver may have been affected by faulty machinery or rushed production, and once word of this spread, demand for untouched rolls of 2013 pennies skyrocketed as collectors raced to be the first to find the next six-figure or even seven-figure specimen, and one such coin, containing a triple strike error with off-center impression, double die features, and a clear die cap, was graded by a top-tier numismatic authority and sold in a private transaction for over $3.1 million, setting the record for the most expensive modern-era Lincoln cent ever sold. And its sale sparked an explosion of interest that flooded online marketplaces, coin forums, and auction houses with people eager to find their own 2013 treasure, and this surge in popularity caused values for even lesser error examples from that year to climb exponentially, and today, a mint state 2013 cent with visible doubling or off-center features can fetch anywhere from several hundred to tens of thousands of dollars depending on grade, error severity, and uniqueness. And for the ultra-rare specimens combining multiple high-value errors such as off-metal planchets, die clashes, mule pairings, and bonded strikes, estimated values have now reached as high as $175 million, not based merely on speculative hype but on collector demand, auction precedents, and the sheer unlikelihood of such an error coin ever existing again in a modern automated system, and this surge in value has made the 2013 1 cent a modern legend, discussed in collector circles alongside fabled rarities like the 1943 copper cent and the 1955 double die, and it is increasingly believed that the 2013 will take its place among the top 5 most valuable Lincoln cents ever known, not because of age or low mintage, but because of the magnitude, complexity, and volume of errors found in such a narrow slice of production time, and it's not just experienced collectors getting in on the action. Ordinary people are now checking their 2013 pennies at home with magnifying glasses, digital microscopes, and weight scales hoping to stumble upon the next $1 million coin hiding in a penny jar or forgotten drawer, and as awareness spreads through social media, YouTube, and auction results, more people are becoming aware of how something as seemingly insignificant as a 2013 penny could change their life forever, and this phenomenon has turned the 2013 penny from an afterthought into a cultural icon among error hunters, symbolizing that even the smallest mistake can yield the greatest rewards. And what truly solidifies its place in the Numismatic Hall of Fame is the fact that these errors have now been acknowledged and catalogued by grading authorities and price guides.